Okay, so welcome to this short video, and we're going to talk about what is the best strategy for your business to use in 2023. And we're not just talking about one single strategy. We're going to look at this over 6 key themes: vision, disruption, team, enhance, expand, and collaborate. And you can choose the best ones to suit your own business. So the first theme is vision. Where do you want to go? This starts with understanding what you want your own life, say, in 10 years in the future to look like. You can use any time scale, but you want to think longer term rather than say 12 months, because otherwise you'll be focused just on a recession. And we know that recessions don't last forever. Most last less than 2 years. So think about what you want your life to be like in 5 years, 10 years, whatever it is. Then think, what would your business or your position in the business need to look like for you to achieve that personal vision? I've done another video dedicated to this strategy, so I won't spend too much time on it now. So the second theme is disruption. If you've watched my other videos, you'll have heard me talking about the cycles of a business or the seasons of an industry. Just like the seasons throughout the year, spring, summer, autumn, and winter, our businesses and our industries also have seasons. So in the spring, this is when new ideas and concepts get born. Sometimes it's when old established businesses get reborn. When it moves into the summer phase, this is after it's grown out of that initial seed phase, and it's starting to grow its customers. It's got proven demand. In the autumn phase, it's a more mature business, or if it's an industry we're talking about, then it's a mature industry with established players. Normally, what you'll see in this phase is lots of consolidation, where smaller businesses get acquired, and the reason for that is because larger companies they're starting to slow down in growth compared to earlier in the cycle. So now they need to buy up other players in their industry to keep that growth going. And then in the winter phase, this is when things start to die or decline. Many industries and businesses right now are in that winter phase. If you look at retail as one example, this has been in its winter phase for the last decade, and it's at this time that you have two choices. The first option, which many firms in the retail space did, is just to ignore it, and they just continue as if things will be great forever. If you do this, your business will eventually die. Most people will choose this option because the other option seems like too much work without any certainty of that threat on the horizon. And it's that type of attitude that companies like Amazon have relied on. Or the second option is to reinvent the business. I don't mean giving it a new logo. I mean a radical change in how the business operates and in its business model. If you look back at the last recession in 08, 09, this is when many of the leading companies around today were created. Companies like Uber and Tesla. They took an existing problem, as in people needing a taxi, and they changed the business model by removing that inconvenient link between the customer and the driver. Now, if you talk to any taxi firms, one thing that's happened over the last decade is they've all lost customers. But something else is there's been a lot of consolidation, companies being taken over or just merging together. And that was mainly caused by everyone losing revenue, which meant it made it less attractive for these companies to continue trading. So joining together with others or just getting out altogether was a better option. So how do you go about rethinking your business model? The best way to rethink a business model is to imagine a new competitor comes into the market. Let's say it's the Uber or the Amazon of your industry. How would they disrupt your market? What would make your customers choose them instead of you? What would make your business irrelevant? It would be arrogant to think that your business won't be affected. That's what the high street retailers thought about the internet. And I know quite a few large taxi companies who also thought that way back in 2011, before they saw that juggernaut coming from Silicon Valley. The most common way to disrupt an industry is either through price, technology, or convenience. With price, imagine someone comes in and offers your product or service for free. Do you still think your customers would stick around with you? And you might think, how would a competitor be able to continue trading if they were giving your product or service away for free. And this comes down to their business model. It's that example is called a freemium model. And it's normally delivered by having someone else pay for the customer's use, such as sponsors or advertising. Facebook is a good example of that. The other freemium example would be if you can sell an upgraded version to the customer. An example of that is Google. They'll provide all the basic apps for free, but if you want to record video calls, for example, or you want more file storage, you pay a license fee. Now, these are technology businesses, but the same type of model can be used in any business. It just means rethinking about things in a radically different way. And if you've been in an industry day to day your entire career, you'll probably struggle to get your head around any other business model than what you already operate. The next theme is team. Now, there are 4 people or 4 key areas that every business needs to be successful. The first is delivery, overseeing how your product or service is delivered, responsible for making sure the customer is happy and what you're providing is at the right quality and standard. The second is relationships. This is about making sure you keep generating sales, both from your existing customers, but also from new customers. Third is infrastructure, and this is about making sure you have the fundamental infrastructure in place, and that normally includes having finance in place, property, supply chain, technology, systems. And then the final one is vision. Unless your business is really big, this one is normally missing from most companies. If you have that person in your business, then you probably don't need to watch this video, because they already know what's coming, and your business should be already set. But this person or this area of the business is about knowing what trends are happening in your industry and in your customers' industries. Understanding how those trends will affect the business, both short term and long term, and then positioning the business firstly to protect it and make sure it survives, but also having a clear 10-year vision for the business and putting in place the pieces that will help you reach that end goal. And this person will reposition the business, that they'll rethink the business model. If you're lucky enough to already have this person in your business, the key isn't to just radically change your existing business overnight. This is about setting up a parallel business model so that they both run together. Because what you'll find is, if you did this the other way around and just changed your existing business, there'd probably be a huge drop in sales, because what you've created is most likely it'll be too early in the market, or too early for the market, for you to operate it at the same scale as what you do your existing business. The new model is just at its seed phase. It's in the spring season, which is normally either during a recession or just as we come out of a recession. Now, if it was possible to fast forward from winter straight into summer with that new model, then that would be fine, but we can't. So it takes time for the market to adjust to that new way. If you look at Uber, they started in 2009, but people didn't really start using them properly until maybe 2014 or 2015. So it's the same with your new business model as well. The next theme is called enhance. And there's 2 ways when you boil it down to how you can grow a business. Every strategy you use eventually boils down to these 2 core ways. You can either enhance it or you can expand it. And by the way, in case you're wondering, this picture is a self-driving tractor. It doesn't need anyone to operate it. So imagine for a second, if you're a farmer and you didn't see this coming, if anyone thinks their business won't be affected by the things I'm talking about, then you're in serious trouble. Just because you can't see what's coming doesn't mean it's not coming. Enhancing the business is about improving it on the inside, strengthening what you've already got. Whereas expanding it is about building it externally, and we'll look at that in a minute. So how can you enhance it? The first strategy is to focus on cash and credit control. This is the most important strategy of all right now, because if you're not keeping an eye on cash and credit control, your business won't survive. Clients will pay late. Some of them will go bankrupt. So this strategy is about making sure you're on top of that cash flow. So that means, first of all, keeping on top of clients, how long they each take to pay. And secondly, your suppliers, how much you owe them and how long is it till you have to pay them. This strategy is also about trying to build a pot of cash so that you can take advantage of what's coming, and we'll get to that in a minute. The second strategy is product creation. What can you sell to your existing clients? This ideally wants to be something that doesn't take years to create. It's something that they need right now. But the most important point, this is selling to your existing customers. You aren't interested in finding new customers at this point. By doing this, it should increase your profit margins, and that means it puts more money in the bank. And by the way, when I say product, I mean product or service. The third strategy is systems. First of all, fixing any recurring issues in the business, those problems that kept coming up when you were busy, but you didn't have the time to find the root cause and fix it. Now, you've got more time now, you can focus on doing this stuff. So you might retrain your staff, you might automate some things. This is about improving how your product is delivered, either directly or behind the scenes. And the fourth strategy is relationships. What happens in a recession is customers reduce the spending. That means your competitors' first response will be to go out and try and poach your customers. Now, if you don't have a strong relationship with those customers, or maybe some aren't happy, then poaching those clients will be easy for your competitors to do. So focusing your efforts on how to improve your customer relationships and building those bonds will be a key success factor of whether you come out the other side or not. And you can brainstorm ways that you might want to do that. You might create some kind of product or that helps them to do that. Like, for example, creating an online community where they can get something that they need. Maybe you can connect them with someone that they need to be connected with. And then next is measure and monitor. And this depends on what stage your business is at. You might already have this in place, but this strategy is about knowing what's happening right now in the business. So, for example, do you know how much profit you made on a particular client or contract? Do you know how productive each of your staff are? And in fact, what could affect their productivity levels? It's about having a live dashboard for each department in the business, so you can make decisions based on facts rather than assumptions. In a lot of small businesses, they don't know what's going on. The closest they get to knowing what's going on is when the accountant sends over the year-end accounts 18 months after the event has happened. But that is one single metric. You need to know how that one metric is made up. And there are hundreds of other metrics that all tie into that one metric. But you need to know them now, not in 18 months' time. And the final strategy is in this section is costs. Focus on reducing costs. Make the business more lean. That might mean investing in a new piece of equipment, for example. It might mean making those fixed costs, the overheads, into variable costs, so you pay as you use it. It might even mean closing the business for a month if you say a hotel or something physical like that, to refurbish or to install things that will reduce the operating costs when things pick up again. So now we're into the next theme, expand. And this is about improving the business externally. And for most of this theme, you're going to use that pot of cash that you've created up till now by going through those earlier strategies. So let's look at the few strategies that you can focus on for this. The first strategy is key staff. What happens in a recession? Companies downsize, they get rid of staff. And normally you wouldn't have access to those staff during the boom times. It's your goal to identify who those key people are in your competitors' businesses and then start approaching them. This isn't about recruiting those people that get made redundant. This is about identifying who is the best person for sales, marketing, delivery, finance, software, whatever it is. It's about you creating that dream team It might even be looking at people that you can add to your management team or board if you've got one. The people that will accelerate your business as we start to move out of the downturn. The second strategy is acquire. More importantly, acquire at a discount. In a recession, everything is reduced in value because there's less money circulating in the economy. So that means you can normally find a bargain. And that might be acquiring a company, supplies, doing deals on supply contracts, for example. Or if you're planning to renovate or expand your office, then now might be the best time to do that, while there's not as much work and suppliers have reduced the rates. The other thing to look at is your competitors or other companies that might complement what you do or what you want to do in the future. They might want to sell, they might be in financial distress and need some kind of turnaround, or they might have had enough of the business completely and just want to get out. There's not going to be many buyers queuing up. So maybe now is a good time to do a deal that suits both of you. To add to this, if you look at the baby boomer generation, around 70% of business owners, depending on which industry you're in, they're already over that retirement age. So maybe they just want to retire. The third strategy, after you've done everything else, is to target and win your competitors' clients. We've already talked about this. So if you build up that pot of cash, you might be able to spend money on bringing them across to your business. More money than you might otherwise have spent in other times. Now, I know one business that in the last recession, they gave all of their sales staff a budget of £10,000 every month to go out and bring those new customers in. They do all sorts of things like taking them to VIP days at the Formula One. They'd get them hot air balloon rides. They'd give them holidays in the Caribbean, and they even gave away cars and other gifts in special prize draws and in different giveaways. Now, the final theme is collaborate. We can't do everything alone. In fact, if we try to do everything ourselves, all it does is add unnecessary cost and overhead to the business. If you see my video on Business 5.0, you'll know already what I'm talking about here. But this is about identifying what you as a person and the business are extremely strong at, and then dropping everything else. Collaborating with specialists in each area of expertise and forming partnerships or joint ventures together. That's how you reposition your business for the next decade. That's it for this video. I hope you found it useful. If you're interested in pursuing any of these strategies, most of what I've talked about is what we're strongest at, and I'm happy to have a conversation and see where it leads. Nothing mentioned, nothing gained. If you're interested, you can book a strategy call with me or with one of my partners on our website.